Appreciate it.
Okay.
Who's got the first question? Start on the third row on your left, Bruce.
Bruce, can you take us through the decisions you guys weighed with Max Scherzer?
Yeah, with Max, he threw yesterday, and he threw well. And today got up and felt pretty good. But still, we didn't feel like we had enough information to where we could put him on the roster right now. He was not going to be available first two games, so we decided not to put him on for that reason. We'll continue his throwing, and he'll continue to make progress, and we'll see where we're at as we get deeper in this series.
Starting Andrew today in Game 1, how much of that is splits at the top of the lineup? What else went into that decision?
Well, we looked at a lot of things, but number one, we looked at how well he's been throwing the ball. We had to win a game in Seattle. He pitched that game. He threw the ball well. He's our freshest guy, and they're a team that does a lot of platooning, and so lefty or righty, they were going to match up, and we just felt like he's the guy to go right now.
Go to the fourth row on your right, Bruce.
How much of a factor was Camden Yards, the far left field wall with a left-handed pitcher facing a right-handed heavy lineup? Was that a factor at all?
Yeah, I think you have to include that. I think we looked at everything, all the variables that could come into play, and that's certainly one of them.
Other questions? What else we got? We'll go to Evan right here. Nate.
Hey, just one other question on the lineup. Was there any consideration, and I know this might be unusual, was there any consideration of just putting Carter at the top and then dropping Simeon and Seager? Has that been a possibility at all?
No, we didn't consider that, to be honest. No, we're coming off a good series, and it went well. And we didn't want to tweak things too much. We like the flow of the lineup, so the only tweak was to put Carter in the 5-hole and just move Nate Lowe to the 7-hole, and Tavares goes to where he's been for the most part this season. So, down the road, next year, whatever, I think you could look at that.
Other questions? We'll go to Bedellin.
Bruce, obviously it's early in the postseason, but how does this particular roster stack up against some of the postseason clubs that you've had in the past?
Yeah, I'll say this, this offense, when you look at the numbers they put up, I don't think I've had a better offense. Now, we've been streaky, with that said, but no, I think it's a very balanced lineup, lefties, righties, guys that can do some little things, guys that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. So I think it stacks up as well as any lineup that I've had.
Same row, further to your left.
Bruce, I know this is Brandon's first playoff series as a manager, but knowing him from his history at the Cubs and just seeing him over the last couple of years, what have you made of Brandon's contributions to get the Orioles to this point, and what do you kind of expect from him this series?
Yeah, I talked about this yesterday. I mean, what a great job he's done to, lead this club to where they're at right now. 101 wins. It wasn't too long ago where, they were at the bottom of the league here. They are the elite team in their division. So I think you have to look at the job that Brandon's done. He's done a tremendous job of getting his team where it's at. This year we played them twice, and they played the game right. They played hard. They're aggressive. They have a lot of energy over there. So that's a credit to the job he's done.
Third row, right center aisle.
Bruce, through many years and many games managing in the postseason and with so much success, what have you learned over the years? What's important for a manager this time of year?
Wow. Well, I think it's important that you adjust on the fly when you get the postseason. That's, you can't script things out. You may tweak lineups or your pitching. how you work that. That margin of error is just not what it is during the season, so it's up to you to make those adjustments. So that's probably what I've learned as much as anything.
More the fourth row left center.
Bruce, you had you mentioned the success with turning the Orioles around. You've done a pretty big turnaround for the Rangers also. What did you see was the most important missing piece that you needed to address and that got the team the transition they made so quickly?
Well, I think you have to start with the starting pitching. And when CY and I were talking before I came over here, that was what they talked about, is going out and bolster the rotation, just to get the pitching to where it needs to be. This is a team that had a good offense last year. They put runs up on the board, but the pitching needed help, and they went out and now we had some injuries, but they went out and did what they wanted to do, and that's acquire some really good pitchers. And one of them you're seeing today, but we lost DeGrom, but Evaldi, these guys, change the ball club. It's always comes down to pitching. I've always felt like that, and if you have a guy out there every day that gives you a chance to win, then eventually you're gonna have a winning season, because you're gonna have a better shot on a daily basis, on a consistent basis. So that's been the biggest change.
One last one for Bruce. All right, Bruce, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Who's got the first question for Jordan? All right, we'll start in the third row on your left, Jordan.
Jordan, when you were traded over here, obviously Max was traded at the same time, and Nate was at the top of this rotation, but via injuries and how well you've pitched, you've kind of become the top guy. How have you felt stepping into that role, being you were the game one starter in the wild card, and coming into this with a big chance to help the team?
Really just trying to go out there and give the team a chance to win every time. I think everybody in our rotation kind of believes in themselves and thinks they're the best when they're out there, and I love that confidence, and I think that's what makes us tick.
We'll stay right there.
Jordan, you faced the Orioles a good amount in your career. Same with Tampa. Does that matter at all? Does that help, or does that not matter as much as people may think?
I don't think it matters. I mean, this is a totally new team than when I was facing. Bunch of good players. They've always been a good team, always had a good lineup, and I'm excited to face them again tomorrow.
And then, kind of going off of Kennedy's question, but what has the last month and a half, 2 months been like for you, going from a not quite as contending team to where you are now in a fast turnaround? What has that been like?
I think that's just baseball for you. I mean, you can be on top of the mountain, and then unfortunately you got to come down at one point. So you kind of just got to ride the wave and stay as even-keeled as you can.
Go to the fourth row on your far right.
Jordan, what's pitching in this ballpark like now, with left field being the way it is as opposed to the way it used to be?
It's a lot different. Yeah, I mean, righties used to. I remember Gleyber Torres hit like 18 home runs here. I think he might have been the reason they moved it back. Yeah, it kind of changes what you're throwing and how you attack righties. But yeah, that's the main thing I think of every time I think of the fence getting moved back, was just that run Gleyber did.
Questions? Yes, far back on your left.
Hey, Jordan, you've always been a guy who, even when you haven't been an ace of a staff or one of the top guys, you've always been relatively steady, going back to your time with the Yankees. What allows you to be somebody who finds success even when you're not at your best, and what has allowed you to take that next step?
I think really just going out there, and once I'm out there, stop thinking and just being kind of a competitive mode has really helped me. I used to kind of be overthinking it, overanalyzing every pitch, trying to make sure my mechanics were perfect instead of just kind of existing out there and competing. So really the last 2 years I've focused on, like, in between 5 days I can work on whatever I work on, but on game day it's just competing.
It's third row on your right, Jordan.
Hey, Jordan. You know, Jack Flaherty on the Orioles roster is going to be on the roster this series. You know, when you think back to your guys' last couple of weeks in St. Louis as trade deadline is approaching, what was the pressure or the forces kind of like at that time, and what's it like to see another guy from that clubhouse in this series?
It was good to see Jack yesterday. I feel like that last week and a half in St. Louis, we were just joking with each other the whole time, like asking if we had our bags packed yet, or asking where he was going, and he would just crack up every time. So we just controlled what we could control, tried to stay as positive and keep being good teammates while we were there. And then we got traded and kind of went our separate ways, but it was good to see him.
All the way back on the left, Gabe.
Hey, Jordan, you've pitched with some pretty significant guys over the years. Who did you kind of go to school on as you were coming up early in your time in the major leagues that kind of taught you a lot of things about the big leagues and maybe might have some lessons that you can apply now that you're in this really prominent position here with the Rangers?
I was CC Sabathia's shadow for about 3 years. That was my guy. He was great to me, taught me a lot. Still one of my good friends. If I text him, he'll reach out, and I got to see him in Tampa. But yeah, CC was a big dude. J Happ, just a lot of lefties have come through, and I've gotten the honor of being their teammate and just kind of being their friends too.
Go back to Kennedy on your left, Jordan.
We've talked so much about Mike Maddox's influence on this staff as a whole, especially the starters. What have you gotten from him, especially last year in St. Louis, and then, you know, these last couple of months since you came back to reunite with him in Texas?
I think he kind of just gives you some confidence. Obviously, he's incredible at reading swings and coming up with a game plan, but really just in between starts, just giving you confidence in your stuff, and just kind of him relying on me gives me some confidence, and just knowing he's been there, seen it all, so he can really help anybody.
I'm right up front to your left, but I'll
Jordan, the Orioles weren't quite there yet when you last were playing in the same division as them. I was just curious, what stands out to you about them now as you're preparing to face them?
They've got a lot of new faces. I remember Mountcastle was just coming up, and I think everyone knew he was going to be a stud. And then they got Henderson and Adley, and Cedric's been great. And I mean, just up and down their lineups, a lot of talent, and their starters have been great. So I mean, just all together, a really good team now.
Anything else for Jordan? All right, Jordan, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.